Hi, this is Steve. Welcome back to Skytech Smart Home. Today we're going to do a complete project.
I have very many smart lights in my home, and I use a lot of tools to control them. Here I'm using my Apple Watch to control the lights in my office, and here I'm using the Alarm.com app on my iPhone to turn on and off my lights in my family room. But
something that's been a challenge that I've been trying to solve for a while. How do you light up the path for somebody entering a dark theater so they can safely get to their seat and get from their seat without disturbing other people who may already be in the theater watching a movie? I think I figured it out, and I want to take you through all the steps and show you exactly how to do this today. So let's get started.
When the lights are all off, it gets very dark in here. Let's just turn them off and you'll see. Makes it very hard for somebody, even with some lighting above, to see where to step. Well, what we want to try to do, put some lights around the raised section back here, so if somebody is walking to or from that area, they don't trip. So the idea here is to install a set of LED lights along a strip hidden by the lip of that carpet all the way across. We're going to use the Aqara Presence Sensor. We've used this before in this room to light up actually these lights, and that's all because of the presence sensor sitting here detecting our location in this room. Again, as we're over here, it turns on. As we come closer, we've set it to turn off. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the same presence sensor, well, a different one, but the same company, and we're going to light up these LED strips. Now these also have extensions that we bought a few, so we can extend it to cover the whole length. But if you notice carefully, it says we need a Zigbee 3.0 hub. Actually, we've installed that using HomeKit, so we haven't needed a hub. So we'll have to see if we need that for the T1. And if we do need it, this is what the Aqara hub looks like. We got this one not only because it works with HomeKit, but we can plug it in through Ethernet, which is great. And then finally, we've got a bunch of metal channels so that we can install the lights in them. Here's an example of what the Aqara light looks like. And that'll go nicely inside the channel here. We can just fit it in here. And then these diffusers will cover the top, so you won't get that sort of high beam from each of the LEDs. They'll get sort of smoothed out by the milky white diffuser. And when you buy these, again, all this will be in the notes of the video. You get some clips that come with it so we can install these underneath the steps. So to reiterate, we're going to use these channels underneath the steps, right up against the carpeting. We're going to use the Aqara light to fill the channel. We're going to use the hub to talk to the lights. And we're going to use, or try to use, the presence sensor to light up the steps as we approach them. Okay, let's open up the Aqara M2 Hub. Always have your handy razor blade to pop open these boxes. Let's see what's inside. Looks like a HomeKit code. Some instructions and the hub itself. It's extremely lightweight. Looks like there's a light on the front, USB charger, Ethernet cable, and another USB component. And in the box, so we have a USB cable. And that's it. That's the Aqara M2 Hub. Let's open up the Aqara Presence Sensor FP2. Inside the box, we have the sensor itself. Notice it's actually pretty small, and it's on a little stand like this so it can articulate. This is also magnetic. And here we have the charging cable and a metal mount, which allows us to pop this on any metal surface. As you've seen, we've done this before, bouncing that on any metal surface in our office. And finally, the LED strip T1. Let's look inside this box. It's like the strip is itself on a reel in here, which makes that nice. We can pull that off as we need. Looks like a user manual. And probably the power adapter. Probably an international kit. Yeah, there's the controller. So this will plug into the LED strip itself, and then this will plug into the power supply, which I'm pretty confident is in this box. Yep. There we go. So this plugs in here. This plugs in to the end of the strip, and we'll control all this through the M2 Hub in just a minute. So for this part of the project, we're going to install the Aqara Hub right here, and we'll follow the instructions. Today we're going to use an Ethernet install, so we will get a USB cable. This requires a USB hub. This one did not come with a USB charger, so we found one that was in our collection. Looks like there's a little bit of protective tape, which is always fun to take off. We will plug a spare Ethernet connection I have in this room. I have a hub above here, which does do power over Ethernet, but the Aqara Hub does not use PoE, so we need to give it power. So we'll plug in the power cord and give it a few minutes to boot up. It says wait for that light on the front to finish blinking. And then we'll follow the instructions for using the app to install the Aqara M2 Hub. We'll launch the Aqara Home app, and we'll hit the plus sign up here in the upper right, and we'll add accessory. And it says what kind of accessory are we connecting? We'll pick the Hub M2. And the indicator is flashing yellow. So I check that box, hit next step, add it to the home, hit next step. And now we have to scan the QR code. That was on the side of the box. And there it is. It's a bridge. We'll add it to the home. It may take a few minutes, as it says. And we'll put that in, let's see, we'll put that in the theater, because we're going to actually use it to control items in the theater. Hit continue. Aqara M2 Hub. Proceed. Continue. We'll skip the animations or automations right now. And now it's binding the device to my home network. It has successfully added it to the room. I'll just leave it in default room for now. Hit next. And we can add that to the device card on our homepage. And there we go. So for this process, we're just going to briefly set up the light strip. So we'll plug that into power in here, and then we'll plug the light strip into it and follow the instructions in the Aqara app. We've plugged the items together. The LED lights are flashing. Let's go into the Aqara app and finish the install. Okay, we're back in the Aqara app. We're going to add the accessory. We'll go to lighting. We'll pick LED strip T1. We'll bind it to the strip. Now we'll plug in the light strip. And we'll put it in binding mode. There we go.
Hit next. We'll make it look like a light strip, and we'll say done. And that's it. We now have our light strip configured. So the first decision we have to make is how we're going to mount the brackets. We have two choices. We can mount the bracket up against the step wall itself, in which case the light strip will attach to the back and the cover will go on the front. Or we can attach it this way underneath the step, in which case the light strip will aim down. Now, when we get to the edge of this, we're going to need to turn the corner. So we have to kind of consider the material that we're making that turn with. We can either cut this at an angle, but then we have the other challenge of how does the light strip actually bend. If we're doing it up against the wall, we could easily make that turn that way. If we're mounting it going around the corner, it's going to be a different story altogether if we're trying to twist this long ways. So let's give it a shot and see which way we like, and then make our decision. Now, many of you will have an outlet on the side where you could plug the controller for the light strip in the wall. Fortunately, when I built this, I mounted an electrical outlet underneath the step. So what I've done is I've hidden the entire controller underneath the step so it's nice and clean. And now I can bring that light strip all the way up to the top. Let's see what that looks like when we turn it on. So that'll give you an idea of the brightness of this light strip. Again, we can either mount it like this, where we see the white diffuser, or we can mount it underneath, aiming down. Either way, we're still gonna see the light strip diffuser, so we have to make a decision which way we wanna go. I actually think this will work for us because that little bit of white looks kind of cool even when the lights are off. So it'll give us a little bit of a highlight underneath the dark step. Let's go with that. So the only challenging area is when we come to the end of the step, we'll want to wrap the bracket around the corner. Now we could just cut that right here, but I have an idea that if we just cut partially through this, we can just bend this. The back is not that heavy, and we could turn the corner. It's not that important if you think about it, where two of these pieces come together, like right here, if we can focus on that, we can just butt them up and wrap the tape through the back of it. And then when we put on the cover, we can cut the corner to cover that at a right angle. I think you'll understand. All right, so we're going to start from this end. That one will stick under there. This one will turn this first corner. So roughly mount it right here, and we'll cut this edge. We'll cut through the top and the bottom, and then we'll bend it around this corner, and we'll see how that works. Okay, so hold this one up here for size. Get our pen ready. Put that right up against there, and we'll mark where we need to cut this line. Right about there. Okay, so we're gonna cut it right here, and we'll use a regular hacksaw with a metal blade. And the best way to get started on this is to just find where you're going to start to cut it, and just pull to yourself a little bit. Make sure that lines up. Yeah, you definitely want to turn off your headphones volume if you can. Okay, so we've cut all the way through, pretty much to the back on both sides. We've cleaned out the shavings, and now we should just be able to come to the edge of a table and just lightly bend this back, giving us the angle that we want, which is going to be 90 degrees. And that's pretty much it. We'll do that on the other corners and lay this in nice and flat. Now we measured our next cut, which will be 11 1/4. We see it right here. We're going to cut that the same way. Now the other one was a 90-degree out. This one's going to be brought in. So this time we have to be a little bit more careful. Pinch these center pieces as we bend this way. Don't need a lot of pressure here. And there we go. So now we're ready to mount this in the step. And this is where our bracket is going to go. It's going to be mounted underneath here, as far up as we can. And we're going to mount it with the included clips that look like this. There's a little hole in the back so that we could mount the clip on the back with one of the screws, and then the channel will mount to the clip. So let's go put a few in. Clip up here, hold it in place with one hand while we get the screwdriver in place with the other. It's always good to have a little light on the screwdriver, that helps. And we don't want to put this in too deep into the drywall because it'll just strip it. We just are holding up a small little clip. It shouldn't take that much in terms of pressure. We'll use the light from the screwdriver to help us see what we're doing here. And we'll finish this with a regular handheld old school screwdriver. Okay, now that we have our two clips in, we should just be able to set the bracket in place, push it in, and we should have this side done. Okay, that one's in. And it popped out. That'll happen sometimes because you get a piece of the carpet behind it. Just keep pushing until you hear it snap in to the channel. Okay, that's installed. We'll finish the other ones just like that. We'll need to cut around this corner. Sorry, you can't see that. We'll need to bend this around this corner and finish the other edge. And then we'll be ready to install the light strip. All right, so we have all of the tracks aligned. Some of these that didn't align perfectly, we can adjust them when we put the diffuser on. And the diffuser we can overlap and cover the gaps as well. So that's done. Next thing to do is to install the strips right into the tray. And to do that, you'll notice the back of each strip has some 3M tape. We'll just peel that off, push it into the groove, and at the end, we'll add the extensions. The ends and terminate like this, and then we'll have some extensions to plug into them. And then to cut them to size, you notice along the strip, there is a place where we can cut each strip if we need to for size. So we just work our way along, pulling off the back of the tape while pushing the LED strip into the back of the groove of the channel that we just installed. Pretty simple, just time consuming. And we'll run that all the way along the side till we're done. When we get to the end of the strip, where we're at right now, we'll be able to hook a extender right into those same connections. All we have to do is align them the same way. Only goes one way really. And we'll plug it in. There's those little holes. And we just have to align it and plug it in. And that's it. Okay, we're now connected. Okay, we've got all of the strips connected. We cut a small segment of the last piece off. When you cut it, it looks like this. There's a tiny little area where you can clip and cut that off. That's all we had to spare. We picked the right size. Now, let's see if it works. So we open up the Aqara app and it works. So we have all of our lights connected. We can see that as a nice bright white light. Now the next thing to do is we have to install the diffusers so you don't see those sharp, discrete bulbs as much. To do that, we're just going to line these up, cut them as we need to like we did before, and we'll be almost done this project. So we'll start over here, same kind of idea. We'll see how long we have for the diffuser, and then at the end here, we'll make a corner cut at 45 degrees right here so that we can put the next piece together and make a nice sharp edge. Okay, so now we have all of the diffusers installed underneath in the rail, and all we have to do now is turn on the lights. To turn on the lights, we just go to the card here and hit power, and our lights are on. Wow, let's see what that looks like. So there's the lights at maybe 10%. Let's go back and adjust that. It was 28%. Let's go to 1% so you can see what 1% looks like. It's a nice little radiant light. And if we go to 100% brightness, that really is almost as bright as the lights on the wall. Now let's turn off all the other lights and see what this looks like by itself. Really nicely floods the room with light, and the goal here is to be up on the steps and be able to step down and know that you're not going to fall. And there's all kinds of other things. Let's just for fun make those lights blue. Now we have a nice blue hue. And one more feature before we get into all the other stuff is we'll go to effects and we'll do rainbow. And now we have a rainbow pattern chasing around the base of those. And it actually is bright enough that when we have the lights on, we still get that effect in the room. So we'll do more. We still have to finish the automation where what we're trying to accomplish is turning on those lights when somebody enters the room, when it's dark, when they're approaching this level, or when they're coming from it while a show is on. So let's see how to do that part. The presence sensor right here on the wall behind the screen. It's literally plugged in, it's sitting on the AC adapter, and it can see through this acoustically transparent screen and use its radar to map out the room. Go to the Aqara app, go to the theater, open up the presence sensor. Now what we've done is we've mapped out the area so that the back couches are in this cream colored zone and the steps are over here in this blue zone. And so the radar, which is in the upper top, is watching as we move around the space. That's how it knows where we're approaching. And what we're going to do is set up an automation so as we approach the platform steps, the lights will turn on. And then when we're sitting here on the couches, like right now, when we get up, it'll notice that we're leaving that and light up our steps, which is the intersection between the platform steps and the couches. The automation is simple. We just say add automation. If, we'll do the presence sensor in the theater. If event is detected, zone, the platform step, someone is approaching those steps, then we will tell the LED light switch to turn on. It's that simple. We can also put a delay if we want, say, delay it for 10 seconds to let somebody sit down, and then tell the light switch to turn off. Let's look at those two automations. First one is, if an event is detected, the back couch as somebody leaves, then set the brightness to 10% on the LED strip. 10 seconds later, turn it off. Okay, that's our first one. And then this one is, if someone is detected approaching the platform steps, then turn on the strip. 7 seconds later, turn it off. So somebody can sit down and the lights will turn off. We could also say that the system actually has to have the illumination level below a certain illumination, let's say 50 lux, for that to work. So we've had two conditions, that not any condition, but all conditions are met. And that way the presence sensor will know, because it has the illumination sensor in it, that this sequence should run only when the lights are off. And we'll hit save, and that's it. And let's see how it works. As we approach the darkened theater and start moving towards the back, it'll notice that we're in here and light our way. So now we can comfortably step up and sit down, and the lights will turn off after a short delay. And as you get up in the back and walk towards the exit, it'll notice as you're approaching, light up your way so that you don't trip on those steps. And that's all we had to do to set up these motion activated lights for our home theater. Hope you like it. So that's it. To learn more about smart lights or any other home security or home automation or home health technology, come to skytech.io.
Be sure you're safe with Alarm.com. If you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe.